Well, a whole new era has dawned in Canada. It's called number portability, the ability for you to take your cell phone number to any carrier. It's been down in the States since 2003. On the line, we have Jack Kapica from the Globe and Mail, our resident freedom expert. How you doing, Jack?
Freedom expert. Boy, I wish I were. I'm fine. Yourself?
Great, thank you. So, number portability, down in the States when it happened, apparently there was a significant shift right out of the gate. Are we seeing that happening in Canada, do you think?
No, not quite yet, and there are several reasons for that. First of all, I'd like to say what you have to do is you have to back off from the hysteria about this a little bit. All the hysteria that's coming out about this number portability thing is coming from the actual incumbent cell phone operator carriers themselves, Bell, Rogers, TELUS, Fido, and the rest of them. These people are hysterical about it because their whole business is being threatened. They're going to be, what they've been doing is feeding you an awful lot of, sometimes not so very good service, and people are going to be punishing them for it by simply bolting. However, these people are all tied in to contracts, so therefore the big move is not happening yet. So just take the hysteria away from it. What will happen is going to be a long, slow process that will go on for a couple of years.
What are the carriers doing then to get people to come over to their side?
Cutting prices and improving service.
Well, that's a novel concept.
It's unheard of in the system. I know. No, really. I mean, what's happening is that when the carriers started getting into the cell phone business, one of the things they really wanted was the data to go along the carriers, because then they could really charge you through the nose for it. And in fact, in Canada, we are paying through the nose for our cell phone services. If I wanted to get an unlimited data plan on my cell phone, I won't tell you who that is, I'd have to pay $90 a month Canadian. Which is what, $82, $83 American or something like that. Because the reason I'm mentioning that is because in the United States, an unlimited plan is worth about $40, half of what it is in Canada. And so, I mean, people are going to wake up to this at some point, and they are waking up to it. We've had in the Globe here over the past several days, several stories about how we feel we're being ripped off. And, well, I mean, that's a pretty rough word, but it's true. We are. I mean, if we're paying twice as much as the Americans are for the same kind of service, why? So they bring in number portability, and suddenly what's going to happen is that somebody's going to come along, like Richard Branson at Virgin Mobile, is going to come along and start cutting his prices badly. And that means, guess what? People will like to switch.
Well, I've seen a lot of advertising from Virgin, for example, and they're typically the guys that don't have the contract. So do you think they're one of the carriers that stand to gain the most?
Absolutely. They're partnered, of course, with a rather large and heavy partner, and that's called Bell Canada, and because they use their system, their cellular system, and Bell Canada owns a chunk of Virgin. But generally speaking, they stand to gain the most out of any of the big carriers.
From my understanding, though, it's not right across Canada at this point. It's just the major urban centers that you can do this.
Yeah, it's going to roll out over Canada for over the next months, years. I don't know exactly what the schedule is, but yes, by the time it's all finished, it'll be some time. Which is one of the reasons why there's no big major shift to it right now. We expected it all to happen. I mean, judging by the hysteria of the major companies, it was like Wednesday would come, and then after that would be apocalypse. Well, I mean, that's what they'd let you think.
No kidding. What do you think this is going to do to landlines? Because apparently you can take your landline number now over to a wireless carrier.
That's going to be very interesting, isn't it? Well, again, the same thing. It'll be also a gradual process, if at all, primarily because, you are already locked into contracts. This is particularly true of cell phones, not so much about landlines, but there's a lot of people locked into contracts, 2 3-year contracts. Almost all those contracts have, in some of that really tiny fine print that you never read at the bottom of your contract, that you'll be paying through the nose if you want to break that contract. So whatever the reason for jumping with your number to another carrier might not save you as much money as you'd even be spending just to stay with your current carrier. The reason when you want to make a switch is when your contract is up, whether it's a 1, 2, or 3-year contract. So if you're on a 1-year contract now, and let's say it's up in 8 months from now, in 8 months is when you'll start thinking of switching carriers. 2 years from now, same thing, 2 years, 3 years, whatever. They don't normally go beyond 2 years.
Well, obviously a good thing for the consumer, and a new era of freedom, as I said, has entered Canada as far as the telecom providers. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Jack.
Thank you.
Jack Kapica from the globetechnology.com. You can see more of his writing up on their website.